It took us 3 weeks to build a treehouse that should have taken 3 days. And in the end, it wasn't even really a treehouse, it was more like a platform, with walls, kind of. But it was ours. I'm Midnight Leon, and tonight, I want to tell you about the summer of 1976, about me, Marcus, and Jerome, about splinters and bent nails and arguments that almost ended friendships, and about my father who showed up with a toolbox and taught us something we didn't even know we needed to learn. Stay with me. This one's about building, not just tree houses, but the other things we try to build when we're young. And what happens when we finally admit we don't know what we're doing. It was Marcus's idea. We were sitting on his back porch in early June. School had just let out. The whole summer stretched ahead of us like an endless road. Marcus, Jerome, and me, 12 years old, best friends since 4th grade. Marcus was the dreamer, always coming up with big ideas. We should do this. We should build that. Most of the time, we'd nod along and then forget about it by the next day, but this time was different. We should build a treehouse, Marcus said. Jerome looked up. Where? Marcus pointed to the big oak tree at the back of his yard. Thick trunk, strong branches, spreading out like arms. Perfect. That tree? I said. That tree? You know how to build a treehouse? Jerome asked. Marcus shrugged. How hard can it be? You get some wood, you nail it together. Done. I looked at Jerome. Jerome looked at me, and we both grinned. Let's do it. We didn't know anything about building. Didn't have plans, didn't have proper tools, didn't even really know what a treehouse was supposed to look like. But we were 12, and it was summer, and we had time. How hard could it be? The first thing we needed was wood. Marcus's dad had some old boards stacked against the garage, leftover from some project years ago, weathered, warped. Some had nails sticking out. Can we use these? Marcus asked his dad. His dad looked at the pile, then at us, then back at the pile. You boys building something? A treehouse. He smiled, not a mocking smile, just amused. You know what you're doing? Yeah, Marcus said confidently. His dad nodded slowly. All right, you can use whatever's in that pile, just be careful with the nails. Thanks, Dad. We dragged those boards across the yard, 6 of them, heavy, splintery, but they were ours. Jerome brought a hammer from his house. I brought some nails I'd found in my dad's toolbox. Marcus had a rusty saw. We stood there in the yard, looking at the boards, looking at the tree, looking at each other. So, Jerome said, how do we start? None of us knew. I guess we just nail the boards to the tree, Marcus said. That seemed reasonable, so we tried. Marcus held a board against the trunk. I tried to hammer a nail through it. The nail bent. I pulled it out, tried again. It bent again. You're hitting it wrong, Jerome said. I'm not hitting it wrong. The nail's too thin. Let me try. Jerome took the hammer, tried. His nail bent too. See, I said. Maybe we need to drill a hole first, Marcus suggested. We don't have a drill. Then we hammer harder. Jerome hammered harder. The nail went in. Crooked, but in. We stepped back, looked at our work. One board, one nail attached to a tree. It's a start, Marcus said. It was a terrible start, but we didn't know that yet. By the end of day 1, we had 2 boards nailed to the tree. They weren't level. They weren't secure. One of them wobbled if you touched it, but we were proud. Tomorrow, we'll add the floor, Marcus said. How do we make a floor? I asked. We nail more boards across these ones. That sounded logical. Day 2, we tried to make a floor. We laid boards across the 2 we'd attached to the tree. They didn't fit. One was too short. One was too long. One was so warped it wouldn't lay flat. "We need to cut 'em," Jerome said. Marcus grabbed the rusty saw, started sawing. The saw was dull. It took him 10 minutes to cut through one board. His arm was shaking by the time he finished. "This is taking forever," he said. "Let me try," I said. I sawed. It was hard. The blade kept getting stuck. Jerome tried. Same problem. We managed to cut 2 boards. Kind of. The cuts weren't straight, but they were cuts. We laid them across. They still didn't fit right. "We need to measure," I said. "We don't have a measuring tape." "Then we eyeball it." We eyeballed it. It didn't work. By the end of day 2, we had a crooked, unstable platform that sagged in the middle and wouldn't hold weight. We tried to climb on it. It cracked. We jumped off, stood there, looking at our treehouse, our broken, sad, pathetic treehouse. "Maybe we're doing something wrong," Jerome said quietly. "We just need better wood," Marcus said. But we all knew. We had no idea what we were doing, and none of us wanted to admit it. Day 3 started with an argument. "We should start over," Jerome said. "We're not starting over," Marcus shot back. "We just need to fix it." "Fix what? The whole thing's falling apart." "It's not falling apart, it just needs more nails." "More nails aren't going to help if the boards don't fit." I stood there, not saying anything, because they were both right and both wrong. Marcus was frustrated because this was his idea, his tree, his dream, and it wasn't working. Jerome was frustrated because he'd spent 2 days hammering crooked nails into warped wood and had nothing to show for it. And I was frustrated because I didn't know how to fix it, and I hated not knowing. "Look," I finally said, "maybe we should ask someone for help." Marcus looked at me like I'd suggested we give up entirely. "We don't need help. We can figure this out." "We've been trying to figure it out for 3 days," Jerome said. "So we try harder." "Trying harder isn't going to make the board straighter, Marcus." And that's when my father walked into the backyard. He'd been working in our garage, heard the yelling, I guess. He stood there for a moment, looked at the tree, looked at the mess of boards and bent nails, looked at us. "You boys need a hand?" Marcus opened his mouth. I could see him about to say no, but Jerome spoke first. "Yeah, we do." My father nodded, went back to our house, came back 5 minutes later with his toolbox, a real toolbox with a level, a square, a measuring tape, a drill, straight nails. He walked up to the tree, studied what we'd done, didn't laugh, didn't criticize, just looked. Then he turned to us. "You boys ever hear the phrase measure twice, cut once?" We shook our heads. Means you plan before you build. You measure, you make sure things fit, then you cut, then you attach, in that order. He picked up one of our crooked boards. "This one's cut at an angle, see that?" We looked. He was right. You can't build a flat floor with angled cuts, you need straight cuts. And to get straight cuts, you need to measure first. He wasn't lecturing, wasn't making us feel stupid, he was just teaching. "Now," he said, "you boys want to build this thing right, or you want to keep guessing?" Marcus looked at Jerome. Jerome looked at me. I looked at my father. "We want to build it right," I said. "All right then, let's start over. And this time we do it the right way." My father didn't build it for us. That's the thing I remember most. He could have, easily. He knew what he was doing, but he didn't take over. He taught. He showed us how to measure, how to mark, how to cut straight. He showed us how to drill pilot holes so the nails wouldn't bend. He showed us how to use a level so the boards would be flat. And then he handed us the tools and let us do it. We messed up a lot. Cut a board too short. Drilled a hole in the wrong place. But my father didn't get mad. He just said, "All right, what did we learn?" And we'd figure it out and try again. It took 3 weeks, working a little bit each day, measuring, cutting, hammering, adjusting. But by the end of summer, we had a treehouse, a real one. It wasn't fancy, no windows, no roof, just a solid platform with walls and a ladder. But it was level, it was sturdy, it was ours. And more importantly, we'd built it, with help. But we'd built it. The last day, my father climbed up, tested the floor with his weight. It held. He smiled. "You boys did good work." Marcus grinned. Jerome grinned. I grinned. We'd done it. I'm 63 years old now, and you know what? That treehouse is still standing. I drove past Marcus's old house a few years ago. New family lives there now, but that oak tree's still in the backyard. And up in the branches, weathered and grey, you can still see the platform we built. 47 years later, still there. And I think about that sometimes. About how close we came to giving up. About how stubborn we were. About how hard it was to admit we didn't know what we were doing. And about my father, who didn't shame us for not knowing, who didn't take over and do it himself, who just showed us the right way and let us learn. That's the thing about building, I think. Whether it's a treehouse or a friendship or a life, you can't do it alone. And you can't do it by just guessing and hoping it works out. You need help. You need guidance. You need someone who's done it before to show you the way. And there's no shame in that. The shame is in being too proud to ask. I'm Midnight Leon. Thank you for sitting with me tonight. Next time on Golden Days Radio, I'm going to tell you about the bicycle I saved up 6 months to buy, about working odd jobs all summer, about counting quarters in a mason jar, and about what I learned when that bike got stolen 2 weeks after I bought it. Until then, keep the lights low and the memories warm. And if you're building something, anything, and you don't know what you're doing, ask for help. There's no shame in it. Trust me on that. Good night, my friend.